In this movie, I'll show you how to record a dynamic version of that same action that involves smart filters. So in other words, we're going to record a better version of the action and set it up so that you can modify the settings as you play the action back. I've gone ahead and restored the saved version of my image using the revert command. And I'm going to create a new action by clicking on the little page icon at the bottom of the Actions panel. And I'll call it Dynamic Sharpen. And then I'll click the record button to begin recording that action. The first step is to double-click on the background in order to convert it to an independent layer. And I'll call this layer Photo, and then press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac. And you can see that records the operation as set background. And if I twirl it open, it's telling me I'm setting it to a layer called Photo. Now I'll right-click inside of the image window with my rectangular marquee tool, and I'll choose Convert to Smart Object. Now, because Smart Sharpen was the last filter I applied, I can just press Control F or Command F on the Mac in order to revisit the Smart Sharpen dialog box. It still has my last applied settings, so I'll just go ahead and click OK to record that operation. And notice that even though I applied the operation using a keyboard shortcut, Photoshop doesn't pay any attention to the shortcut. It just goes ahead and records the step according to the filter name Smart Sharpen. Next, I want to fade back the sharpening effect, so I'll double-click on the slider icon to the right of the words Smart Sharpen here in the Layers panel in order to bring up the Blending Options dialog box. And I'll go ahead and click on this corner of the cliff so we can see all that color artifacting that's at work inside the image. To get rid of it, I'll switch the mode from normal to luminosity, and then I'll go ahead and dial back the opacity value by pressing the Tab key and entering 50%. And then I'll click OK. And again, that step is recorded as well. And notice that it's recorded for the current layer. So this is going to work with any layer, regardless of whether it's called Photo or not, as long as it's the last selected layer inside the image. And then finally, I don't need this filter mask. So I'll right-click inside the white thumbnail inside the Layers panel, and I'll choose Delete Filter Mask to get rid of it. That completes the action, so I'll go ahead and click on the square icon at the bottom of the panel or press the Escape key to stop recording. Now we want to play the action back to make sure it works, so go up to the File menu and choose the Revert command in order to restore the flat saved version of the image. And now you can just go ahead and play the action back if you like by clicking on it and then clicking on the play button, or if you want to make it possible to change the settings on the fly, then notice that we have these little squares to the left of the operation names here inside the action. And each one of these allows you to force the display of the dialog box. So go ahead and click in the square to the left of Smart Sharpen in order to force the display of its dialog box, and then click in the next one down to force the display of the Blending Options dialog box. Now click on the play button, and you'll see a few moments later, after Photoshop goes ahead and converts the image to an independent layer as well as a smart object, that we see the Smart Sharpen dialog box appear on screen. And let's say I want a sharper effect still. I'll go ahead and take the amount value up to 300% this time and click OK. And next, I'll see the Blending Options dialog box, and I'll take the opacity value up to 66% and click OK once again. And now what I want you to note is that I changed the settings on the fly. So in other words, if I were to expand the size of the Actions panel here and twirl open Smart Sharpen, the recorded amount is still 250%. And the same goes for this step right here. I need to expand the panel even further here. We can see that the opacity value for Blending Options is still set to 50%. So those modifications we just made apply to this application of the action only, not to future applications. If for some reason you decide you like these new settings and you want to associate them with the recorded action, then just go ahead and double-click, in this case on Smart Sharpen, enter your new settings such as an amount of 300%, and click OK, and now that new amount value will be recorded. Now the image ends up looking terrible, and that's because we've heaped on another application of a Smart Sharpen filter here inside the Layers panel. But to clear it out, all you need to do is press the F12 key or choose the Revert command from the File menu, and then play back that action again. And you'll see that this time I see an amount value of 300%. I'll click OK, Blending options, however, shows me an opacity value of 50% because I left that one recorded as is. In any case, I'll just go ahead and click OK to accept it as well. And that's how you record a dynamic version of that same sharpening operation, as well as force the display of dialog boxes so that you can change your mind when playing back the action on the fly.